greetings, guys. I'm Fancy, the award-winning editor-in-chief of Swagger Magazine, and today you all are in for a treat because we're sitting down with two of the speakers from Profit and Secure Her virtual conference. For those who may be unfamiliar with the conference, hey, drop in the chat where you're watching from if you're tuned in. We just love to know, I may shout you out throughout the way, but so today we're sitting down with two of the speakers from the Profit and Secure Her virtual conference. Rasheda, Hatchett, and Dani Parks will be joining me in a minute. I'm just waiting to see them come in. I see a lot of people joining. I hope you all will stick around and tune in to this interview that I have with them. For those who are unfamiliar, okay, I see Rasheda. Let me see if I can bring her in. I only see the option to add as a moderator. Can you all request to join? Okay, thank you, Dani.
I keep getting requests from you, Dani, but I don't know if they're actually going through or not. Let's see. Hey,
how are you?
I'm good. Rasheda, are you having some issues joining in? Do you see the option to join me? Now tonight will be the night we end up having some difficulties, but I hadn't been on here, but in the past it seems like it's worked okay. But I haven't saw a request from her coming in. While looking for that, Dani, again, how are you doing? Thank you for joining us.
I'm doing good. How are you?
Okay. Yes, no, I don't. Let me see. Okay, I sent you an invite. See if you get that, Rasheda. So y'all, I'm practicing to do things with love and patience. So I know we're gonna get through this. It's gonna go through. She'll be able to join us, and I'm just gonna think positive about it. But we're gonna see. So I don't want to just keep you waiting. But while we're trying to see if she can join us, Dani, can you just kind of go ahead on and tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so Dani Parks, and I'm a mental health advocate. So I go around speaking about self-care, mindfulness, as well as other conditions such as depression, suicide tendencies, as well as bipolar disorder.
Got it. And I have some questions. Okay, wait. I see her. Let's see. Because the way I did my questions, they're kind of like for you all together. So that's why I didn't want to start. Okay, hey Rasheda.
Hey.
And am I saying it correctly? Because I realized I was saying somebody's name so wrong yesterday.
You are saying it correctly. You're good.
Okay, great. So can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yes, I'm Rasheda Hatchett. I'm an executive leadership coach for women. I work with high achieving women who are really looking to regain their priorities and making themselves a non-negotiable through the power of self-care without sacrificing their career or their families.
Wow, okay. And so I thought it was really cool that the two of you signed up for tonight for us to do this because both of you are kind of along the lines of self-care. So I kind of want to see where the conversation flows, but I also have some questions that I have for you. So my first question, of course, I want to know because I know Dani because she's a client, but Rasheda is new. But I wanted to know for the both of you, like what attracted you to the Profit and Secure Her virtual conference?
Well, what attracted me was, first off, you always do amazing conferences. So that was the first thing. And then on top of that, I just feel like when it comes to women in entrepreneurship, sometimes we have the tendency to, I guess, I would say like tunnel vision. We're either focusing completely on our business or we're getting distracted and focusing on something else. So as far as what I'm speaking about, I'm just talking about all the emotions that we should be being consistent with within our business as well as in our personal life. So that's what attracted me to Profit and Secure Her.
Okay. And Rasheda?
For me, it was just the opportunity to have a different perspective of what we do heard. We talk a lot about the grind, the hustle, you know, getting it done, making it work, doing all the things. And one thing that I'm big on is really understanding how you can do less and still achieve more because you are prioritizing yourself first and you're leading with self rather than leading with the external, like all that stuff you got to do, all the things, all the list and all of that stuff, but leading with I'm taking care of myself first, and that's going to open up the possibilities for me on what can follow. So it was really important to me to just add a different perspective to what we hear so often, especially in this entrepreneurship world. Like there's whole brands around grinding, and I'm like, no, when you grind too much, you end up into dust. So I wanted to just say, let's, you know, shift perspective and think about this a little differently.
Wow. I think both of y'all responses are really good. And then also, and kind of want to make certain I got a clip with you all saying that, but I have some other questions that are not, you know, even related to the conference. But I am curious to know, since as I've said, you know, you both kind of align with the self-care theme. You know, what was your self-care journey like? Was it something that you always practiced? Because I know some people, you know, they actually grew up with parents that implemented self-care activities into their daily lives. And so they already just, you know, acclimated into things as an adult. But for a lot of us, we've had to learn, you know. So, you know, either one of you all can go first.
Yeah, I didn't have a self-care routine. I grew up in a Jamaican American household, and my mother grew up in a third world country. There is no self-care, right? You are doing and getting all the things done. You know, she grew up in a time where she was going to the river to wash her clothes. And so I learned very early that you get up early, you rise, you get things done, you clean, you cook, you do all the things for everybody. And I watched my mom be everything for everybody. So I didn't have a self-care routine, and I didn't have an example of that. And it was something that caught up with me as I was in my nursing career. I burnt out, and I was trying to figure out, like, how do I get through this? Because I'm toast. And I was fresh in my career, and I was toast. And I was like, what is going on? And I really decided that I was going to pour into my personal development. And then that journey took me on a journey of really understanding what self-care is and what it isn't. And all the things that I thought it was the nails, the hair, the spa. And over time, I learned that, like, nope, that's hygiene. Self-care really is about self-discovery and doing things that help you discover who you are, what you like, what is making you tick, what brings you joy, what adds that abundance to your life that you feel like, I don't need a vacation from this. This is what I want to be doing. So it's been an evolution, I would say, for me, for sure. But it's been a journey that I have really loved, and I have evolved. I've changed. It's changed over time what I need, and I love that.
Uh-huh. And I think definitely, you know, just from you mentioning your mom, like, I could see you not having an example of that and how difficult that may have been, just trying to adjust, and maybe even some possible guilt there because it's not something that you know, witnessed growing up. So Dani, what's your story?
Yeah, I think it's similar. I'm not Jamaican, so it's just a little bit different. But I think just like the generation our parents grew up in, they didn't really have that self-care. You know, they took from their parents who grew up, you know, probably in the 50s and the 40s and the 50s, 60s. So it kind of just trickled down the line. I don't remember my mom doing anything self-care. Besides reading a book. Now, my mom loved to read. She would get lost, you know, in reading, and so I took that on for myself. So that would be like my first type of self-care, and then everything else. I had a big brother, and I wanted to be just like him. And so when he got in high school, you know how guys are. They want to look fresh. They start taking care of themselves. So just me looking at my brother and mimicking him, and what he was doing, his self-care not only included like the external, but he started to become more consistent with his health, more consistent with who he was around, who he interacted with. Even though he was very social, he had a small group of people who were consistent just like him. So just seeing him do that really made me realize, okay, not only do I need to take care of the external, I need to make sure that I'm taking that time to be consistent with myself and with my emotions, and then also reinforcing that with the people around me. So pretty much both of them taught me, self-care on different levels.
That's really interesting. And also being that it was like a male, but you were still able to learn from that, I think that's an interesting aspect to things. So, Rasheda, I know your presentation is Drop Perfection and Pick Up Momentum. Can you tell us more about it? And did you once have a problem with perfection? And if so, how did you overcome it? I'm sorry, I know there's 3 questions in one, but everything kind of just flowed.
No, absolutely. I only talk about what I know. I only talk about what I've been through. I find that that's the most powerful stuff that you can talk about, is really something you've been through and how you got through it. I absolutely used to live in the lane of perfectionism and needing things to be perfect. And part of that is, just growing up in a critical household, feeling like you needed to be better than in order to even be seen. And I think that's probably something that a lot of Black women can relate with, right? It's just that feeling of having to be twice as good, twice as fast, twice as strong, all those things, right? And that creates this idea of needing to be perfect and it having to be perfect. And that was a trickle down in my career. It was a trickle down in my business. There were so many things that I was holding on to in my business that I wouldn't release because it wasn't quite perfect. I didn't have it quite where I wanted it to be. And I found myself consistently feeling like I needed one more class, I needed one more degree, I needed one more something in order for me to be perfect. And that's the point that I got to. I got to the point of realizing that it wasn't that I necessarily needed the project or the thing to be perfect. I was trying to make me perfect. And when I got to this place of, ma'am, that's not a thing, right? Like, there's no such thing as perfection. It's not going to happen. Operate in excellence, operate in giving the best you can to something, and then pivoting and tweaking it after you get it out there. But part of what I'm going to talk about when we talk through dropping perfection and picking up momentum is really understanding the ramifications of perfection and how it robs you of your momentum, and also robbing you a lot of being able to move forward. I'm not sure. Can y'all hear that echo?
Yeah, I can hear it, but I'm not.
I don't know where it's coming from either. Everything is echoing.
I can't hear it echo. Am I echoing?
It may be you.
Okay. Let's see. All right, how's that?
That's better. Yes.
No,
Oh,
There's an
nope,
echo?
it's back.
Okay.
Oh, it's still there.
What about now?
Try saying something. No. Well, I still hear it.
Because I don't hear an echo from
Does
y'all
anybody
on
have
this
two
end.
devices?
No.
No? Bizarre.
I'm sorry, y'all. It must be Instagram.
But I can't hear an echo. Do both of y'all have Bluetooth in?
Yeah. Well, I do. Do you think that's the
Okay.
case?
I don't.
Oh, well, no.
I don't know.
She
But
doesn't.
I can't hear an echo. Let me see.
Can you all hear an echo? Let us know. Okay. And they're
Yes.
saying yes, they hear it too.
What about now? Hey, Sharon.
Yeah, it's still there.
Can y'all? Okay. Because I can't hear an echo on this end. Rasheda, you can hear an echo on your
Hmm.
end as well.
Yeah, it just all of a sudden started out of nowhere.
Let me try to click out because I can't hear it, but if you two can hear it, it may be
Okay,
me.
so you're gonna try to leave out and come back in. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Let's see. Hmm. Let's see how that. Okay, I just hit this X button.
All right, let's see. I don't hear it
Yeah,
anymore.
I don't either.
Okay.
Um, I could just bring her back in once she sends the request, but you can continue on.
Okay. So, um, what we're going to talk about is really how perfectionism kills your motivation, your momentum, and your money. And I think that's one of the biggest perils in entrepreneurship is needing things to be perfect because, we get out in these internet streets and you're putting yourself out there. And we watch a lot how when you put yourself out there, the comments that people get and the things that happen once you become a public figure. And it can be a challenge for people. And so they really want to be perfect. They want to get it right. They want to have all the things line up and for everything to just fall into place. And that's not really realistic. There's a lot of trial and error in getting things right. And so you got to put something out there. You have got to drop perfection, pick up momentum, start making some moves so that you can create some money in your business, but you really want to understand what your relationship with perfection is. Where does it come from? And how do you dismantle that? So we're going to talk through all of that. And I'm excited to talk about it because it's a hot button topic for women in general, for sure, in our careers. But in entrepreneurship, it is big because the things you put out, they're yours. They're your baby. They're things that you created. And it is hard to put your creations out there and just wait to see what happens.
Definitely. I totally agree with that. So, and also there was one other thing that you said that I like, just about the trial and error. We talk about the trial and error, and then people still seem to think that they're not supposed to have trial and error. Like, you're
Mhm.
gonna have it. We like, well, and it's better to go ahead on and get it out the way so that you can move on to the next thing or know what you need to tweak or how you can improve it. So, I mean, as opposed to trying to avoid it and putting all of that energy into that. So, Dani, your presentation is pressure, understanding your emotional profit and loss statement. Can you tell us more about it and how did you come up with this theme of accounting and mental health? I didn't know how else to describe it, but I also want to know that I love both of you all's topics. Like, I thought they were really cool and interesting.
Yeah, I was just first off, it came from the song Pressure. I don't know if y'all heard it, but I was just listening to the words and I was just like, she got a point. Even though she's talking about something else, I was thinking, of course, about self-care and just the hook on that song. And then so I was just like, just thinking about the accountability, understanding the importance of being accountable and consistent with our emotional currency. So some of the things I'm going to talk about is the law of reciprocity between our thoughts, words, and our actions. I always believe that, it starts with your head. You think it, then you say it, and then you do it. So what type of seeds are you planting? What are you putting into your mind that's translating over into your words? Sometimes, without knowing, sometimes we're critical of other people because of what's the word I'm looking for? Because of things that's going on within us, our shortcomings. So I may get in on to you because maybe you're not organized. While I'm over here in my office and my house is just a hot mess. And so I'm projecting my feelings and what I'm going through on someone else, and that's not fair. So I always make sure, like, my thoughts, like, is this really them, or is there something going on within me that's making me feel like this needs to come out? And when it comes out, maybe it's criticizing somebody else for something that I'm lacking as well. So just making sure that whatever you think is going to show up in your words as well as your actions, and that could possibly trickle over into your business as well. So if you know you're not getting enough sleep and you wake up and you're tired, that's going to translate over into customer service when it comes to your customers, when it comes to how you handle your administrative tasks, everything. And so then we're also going to be talking about calculating your emotional expenses. So what's coming in? What are you putting out? Sometimes we give too much to one person emotionally, and then we find ourselves or our cup half empty because we done poured into someone. I wouldn't say they're not worthy, but you know those people who they're always pulling on you emotionally, and then you find yourself drained. So having that balance, like what is your profit and loss statement looking like when it comes to your emotional health? How's your overhead looking? If your overhead's too high and you don't have anything coming in, then you need to adjust. You know, you need to see what's going on. Why is my overhead so much and I have nothing coming in? I have more going out. I have more to lose than what I'm actually putting into myself. And then, of course, I have my knowing better and doing better. And that's pretty much self-explanatory. Sometimes we know better and we don't do better, mainly because we don't have any boundaries. And we want to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. And we want to give everybody themselves as well. So knowing better and doing better, those are just a few things we're going to learn that I'm going to be presenting.
I like that. That's really interesting, and it kind of segues into my next question, because I know, well, I wanted to know if each of you can tell me one thing you do in your business to ensure that it's profitable, because of course we are, you know, dealing with the whole profit and scare her thing. So I was curious about that. And
I think one of the things that I do pretty consistently is take a look at where my revenue is coming from. Like, what am I doing that is creating the most revenue? And then looking at, okay, so the other stuff that I'm doing that might be stuff that I love and I'm just doing it because I like it, but is it actually bringing in revenue? And if it's not, generally I make a readjustment, right? And so that readjustment can mean that I stop doing that thing, right? There's something that I have on the books that, I mean, even right now, I made a decision yesterday that there was something that I was doing that I really loved, but it wasn't bringing in the profitability that I wanted. And so I had to make a decision that I was going to not do that and focus my energy in the places that were bringing in the revenue. And it's not to say you can't go back to those things. And I think that's one of the things that is really challenging for us as entrepreneurs is when we have something that we're doing that we love and we're like, I love this, it's a great idea. We might have gotten people who say, yes, they would love it too. And then we put it out there and, you know, it's crickets or mild crickets or I don't know, frogs or something. It's not quite what it needs to be. And we feel like if I don't do it, if I say, the pivot has to happen, that means you can't come back to it. And I'm like, no, that couldn't be further from the truth. Sometimes things are simply timing. They are simply timing of your audience and where they're at. They're timing of where you are in your life, right? And so, yeah, you can always go back to those things, but you got to check and see what's making money. Because if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense most of the time, right? There's sometimes where there are things you have to do that aren't actually generating revenue, but you have to do them. But those are things that are like the must-dos in your business that have to get done. But other things that you've got on the books, projects, things like that, where you might have even collabed with somebody and it's not quite working out because of timing or some other issue, you just have to pivot. And we got to get to the place where we're not married to what we're doing in our business, where we're saying this is an ebb and a flow. I'm flowing with what's creating revenue and what people are saying that they desire. And if they don't desire it, I'm going to table it, and I'll table it and come back to it if it becomes a need for my people. And I think that's just big. It's a huge barrier. It goes along with that perfection, right? We're trying to get it perfect. We feel like if people didn't want that thing we're doing right now, that they don't want us. And you got to detach yourself from the result. It's not personal. People are at where they're at in their lives. Your audience is at where they're at in their lives. It's not personal. You got to be able to detach from it. But I think that's one of the biggest things in understanding your profitability is detaching yourself from the results and being in line with what is bringing you revenue.
Well, you just said a word, well, a mouthful there.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Dani, what do you, what do you do?
So as far as bringing in money, I always say, listen, your price is your price. Know your worth and stick to it. Some people are going to be able to afford it, and some people are not. Sit with the people who are not only your target audience, but who can afford the services that you have. Mm-hmm. I got advice similar to what Rasheda was saying a long time. I learned it a long time ago that you may be good at a lot of things, but you have to focus on the one thing that's bringing in the most money, and that you like doing. Not just I'm going to go with this because it's bringing in all this money, and then you're just miserable. But something that's bringing in money, and then also is purposeful and impactful, and also you like it. So, as for example, when I started doing cosmetology tattooing, brand new to it, didn't know anything. I went and got all my certifications, and I know I had so much confidence in my skill, even out the door. I was like, okay, I'm charging this. I don't care. I was like, because I know myself, I know my skills, I know my worth, and I know the quality that I can bring to you. And then some people do like to start at a lower price that's more average. Doesn't matter what industry you're in, whether you're doing public speaking or anything of that nature. You do kind of want to start at an average. But if you know that you know that you know, then go ahead and go for it. You can only get two answers, yes or no. And that's what I usually go with. You can either say yes or you can say no. Even when it comes to big events, as far as like public speaking is concerned. One of my first biggest events was speaking at a university in a different state. And I was just like, wow, am I ready for this? I was like, yeah, you're ready for it. You're ready for it. If you're not, you'll find out real quick that you're not. So just going with what you love, making sure it's impactful, it's profitable, and that it's purposeful. So yeah, and then also just sticking to your price. If you feel like you want to, as women, we like to help everybody. Well, I'll give this to you for free, or I'm not going to charge you. But it's good to have those things incorporated in your business, but you can't let those things take over your business. Because like I said, if you're not, like Rashida said, if you're not making dollars, you're not making sense. You're not. So I always go with that mindset.
Okay. Well, that is actually all the questions I have for you all. I see we're just about at time. But before we wrap up, can each of you let our audience know, how they can follow you and yeah, and then I'll close out.
Awesome. Yeah. You can follow me on my website at RashedaHatchettMedia.com. Go ahead and subscribe. I send out some emails every Thursday. You get a Thriving Thursday email from me that just gives you a little bit of uptick in how you can maintain your leadership in your own life and really focusing on self-care. You can also find me on Facebook at Rasheda Hatchett and IG and LinkedIn.
And then for me, you can find me at here on IG at IamDaniParks.com, as well as my website, IamDaniParks.com, LinkedIn, DaniParks.com, Facebook, Dani Parks Speak, and that's about it. And then you can check out anything as far as what I'm writing or blog on my Linktree website. And that was
all right. Well, okay. All right. Well, thank you, ladies, so much for joining us. I look forward to seeing you all presenting July 11th and 13th, or through the 13th. I can't remember which date I have you all on, but I'm just excited about it. So thank you all for your yes and taking part in this event. This is our first year hosting it, and I'm just looking forward to what all is going to take place.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. It's been a wonderful time.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead on and just remind you guys that Prophetess Secure, her virtual conference is taking place July 11th through the 13th. The tickets are available on Eventbrite. You all can go there to purchase them. We had a code running. We will be doing another code, I think, so you all can look out for that. And then the code gives you a discount off, of course. And then also you can join our Facebook page. Whereas we are sharing updates and the speakers, we're also sharing the speakers throughout our emails, and they'll have interviews coming up on the website. So you'll be seeing a lot of these women over the next few days or weeks, I guess we should say. And I think that is everything. So peace and blessings, y'all. Y'all have a great evening.